Let's jump right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're unpacking one of the most fascinating cultural and economic flashpoints we've seen in a long time. Picture this. It's the 2026 commencement season. The air is absolutely electric with anticipation. You've got caps flying and heavy booing? Yeah, booing. What we're seeing right now is a literal head-on collision between the executives standing at these podiums and the graduates sitting in the audience. And the spark that's igniting this whole thing? Artificial intelligence. The folks at the top? Well, they're looking out and seeing a world of boundless opportunity. But the people just entering the workforce? They're seeing an immediate, existential threat to their survival. So we're going to unpack exactly what is happening here. We'll look at the data, the history, and the harsh reality of this massive generational divide.
To really get to the bottom of this, we've got a structured journey ahead. First, we'll look at the commencement AI clash itself. Then, we'll zoom out to the history of industry disruption, take a hard look at the shrinking job market, and finally, explore something experts are calling the human judgment moat.
All right, starting off with Section 1, the commencement AI clash. This is basically a perfect microcosm of this widening generational divide. You know, mentioning AI these days has become a pretty reliable way to trigger some intensely negative reactions from college students. Take the University of Central Florida, for example. Gloria Coalfield called AI the next industrial revolution, and guess what? She was met with a chorus of boos. Same story at the University of Arizona, where former Google CEO Eric Schmidt faced some serious pushback. But the true inciting incident, the one we're really zooming in on today, happened at Middle Tennessee State University. That's where Scott Borchetta sparked an outright conflict with the graduating class. So to give you some context, Scott Borchetta is the founder and CEO of Big Machine Records. He is an absolute titan in the music industry. And here's the kicker. He was delivering this commencement speech at a college that had literally been renamed in his honor after he dropped a $15 million donation. He stood up in front of all these graduates and boldly delivered his core thesis. He said, AI is rewriting production as we sit here. He's up there presenting AI as this incredibly exciting, transformative tool for the music industry. And the students' reaction? They just booed him loudly. But here's the thing. Borchetta didn't back down. He didn't apologize, and honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the executive mindset right now. Instead of retreating from the podium, he doubled down with this mix of challenge and humor. He clapped right back over the boos, telling them, I know it, deal with it. Like I said, it's a tool. You can hear me now, or you can pay me later. It created this moment of intense narrative tension. Sure, his response got a little bit of laughter, but the underlying friction, it was palpable. He was essentially forcing them to confront a reality that they clearly did not want to accept. That brings us to Section 2, the history of industry disruption. Let's look at why Borchetta is so fiercely optimistic. It basically all boils down to this idea of the genie out of the bottle. If we actually walk through this timeline, it kind of validates the executive perspective that technological disruption, well, it's inevitable, and it permanently alters business models. Borchetta actually walked the graduates through 4 decades of disruption in the record business to make his point. Just look back at 1999. Napster emerges, right? It introduces free music downloads and throws the entire industry into absolute chaos. Early 2000s, the record labels are in full panic mode. But fast forward to the 2010s, and the streaming model that Napster basically inspired had permanently restructured how the entire industry makes its money. So now, in 2026, Borchetta is framing AI as a much bigger genie. And his point is, this genie ain't getting put back in the bottle. Now, when the music industry first faced that disruption, their reaction was famously disastrous. They opted for panic and lawsuits. I mean, the Recording Industry Association of America notoriously targeted a 65-year-old grandmother for downloading music. Yeah, not exactly a PR masterclass, right? But compare that early panic to the eventual adaptation and restructuring that led to the total dominance of streaming today. Borchetta is drawing a direct parallel here. In his view, the current panic we're seeing over AI is just the initial, messy phase before an absolutely inevitable adaptation.
And he gave them a pretty stark warning. He told the graduates that the platforms they learned how to use in their very first year of college might actually already be obsolete. So what's his guiding principle? Invest in the skill and art of creation and not the platform or the system. Platforms and systems come and go. From the executive perspective, AI is really just another system. It's a tool. It is not the whole show.
But, of course, we've got to look at both sides of this coin. Moving into Section 3, the shrinking job market. This is where we look at the harsh, grounded economic data that completely validates why these graduates are being so hostile. And this figure right here, it is just staggering. We are looking at a 35% drop in U.S. entry-level job postings since January of 2023. So when these graduates are sitting there hearing executives praise AI, they aren't just being anti-tech, they are literally looking at a vanishing labor market. And it's even worse in certain sectors. Some tech and data roles have plummeted by as much as 2/3. The bottom rungs of the corporate ladder are essentially being removed right at the exact moment these students are trying to start climbing. And honestly, for the graduates who actually do manage to find work, the picture still remains pretty grim. Roughly 42.5% of recent college graduates are currently underemployed. To put that into perspective, that is the highest rate we've seen since the pandemic. These students are spending 4 years and thousands upon thousands of dollars on degrees, only to land in jobs that don't even require a college education in the first place. So for them, AI is definitely not some fun, transformative tool. It is a direct symbol of their displacement. In these fears, they aren't just paranoia. They are backed by actual corporate strategy. Look at this recent Mercer survey of 825 C-suite executives. The number of leaders planning to cut junior roles in the next 2 years jumped from 17% in the previous year to a massive 43% currently. Think about that. Executives are openly planning to reduce the exact roles these students are desperately trying to get. So what we're really looking at here is a massive chasm between two totally different worldviews. To the executives, AI is just the next logical step in industry evolution. It's a platform to be mastered. But to the graduates, it isn't a neutral tool at all. To them, it's the door slamming shut just as they arrive at the threshold. It feels like an existential threat to their immediate livelihood. Which leads us perfectly into our final section, the human judgment moat. How exactly do we synthesize these two opposing yet entirely valid viewpoints to find a path forward in this disrupted landscape? Well, following that clash at the commencement, Middle Tennessee State University released an official statement that was essentially a masterclass in navigating this exact controversy. First off, they didn't just dismiss the students. They explicitly acknowledged the deep anxiety these students are feeling about AI affecting their future careers. Second, they reframed the executive's message, encouraging students to explore AI strictly as an enhancement tool for knowledge and storytelling. And finally, they elevated human creativity as the absolute ultimate driver.
And this brings us to a really critical concept that I want you to take away from this explainer, the defensible moat. In a career context, your defensible moat is the ultimate, unautomatable value that is derived exclusively from human judgment, taste, and adaptability. The idea here is that while an AI can execute tasks, it can process data, and it can even mimic structure, it cannot replicate the nuanced lived experience and the complex decision-making of a real human being. Which makes Scott Perchetta's closing lines to those graduating students incredibly powerful, regardless of whether they were booing him or not. He looked at them and said, "Your judgment cannot be disrupted. Your taste cannot be automated. The mechanisms change. If they do, you adapt. We're counting on you." That really ties this entire narrative together beautifully, doesn't it? Adapting your unique human taste and judgment is really the only guaranteed way to survive when platforms and systems inevitably change. The clash we're seeing between executive optimism and graduate anxiety over AI is entirely real. And honestly, both sides have the data to prove they're right. AI is inevitable, yes, but so is the profound need for human intuition. So I want to leave you with this thought to consider for your own future. As systems and platforms inevitably come and go, how are you investing in your own unautomatable taste and judgment today? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.
They keep telling you, stay motivated. Watch this. Listen to that. Get inspired. But what happens when the video ends? When the music fades? when nobody's clapping, watching, or waiting for you to win? What moves you then? I used to run on borrowed energy, quotes, speeches, people hyping me, yeah. Felt unstoppable for a moment, then I'd crash, like it was never in me. That's the problem with external fuel. It burn quick, don't last, don't rule. You dependent on a source outside, so when it disappears, so do you. I was chasing feelings, not building fire, waiting to feel ready instead of climbing higher. But readiness ain't a mood you catch, it's a discipline you wire. So I had to ask myself something different. If nobody ever told me keep going, would I answer that honestly? I realized purpose don't scream, it whispers. It ain't in the crowd, it's found in the mirror. It ain't in applause or validation checks. It's in what you do when there's nothing to flex. Motivation temporary, purpose permanent. One phase away, the other's inherent. You don't wake up feeling it every day, but purpose don't care how you feel anyway. It moves through you even when you're tired, even when life feel misaligned and wired. It's that quiet push you can't explain. I say do it again through the doubt and pain. So I stopped asking how do I feel and started asking what's real, what's mine to build, what's mine to create. That's when I found something stronger than fate. I don't need a reason, I am the reason. I am the reason. I don't need the feeling, I don't need the feeling. I move with meaning. No more waiting, no more waiting, no more chasing, no more chasing. Internal driver, that's what's leading. Yeah. Now I move like it's already decided. No hesitation, no need to be guided. I built a system inside of my soul that don't break down when I'm losing control. External noise don't shake my direction. I learned to operate without the connection. Not disconnected but self-sustained. Energy internal, never drained. I don't need hype, I don't need cheers. I done built this through blood, sweat, tears. Every rep carved into my frame. Now discipline calling me by name. This is what it looked like when purpose drive. You ain't just working, you feel alive. Even in struggle there's something deeper. You not just moving, you moving with meaning. Listen close. Purpose don't shout, it pulls. It don't beg, it demands. And once you feel it, you can't go back. There's gonna be days you don't feel like it, do it anyway. There's gonna be days you question everything, keep going anyway. Because the ones who make it ain't the most motivated, they the most committed. To something deeper than motivation. I don't need a reason, don't need a reason. I am the reason, am the reason. I don't need the feeling, don't need the feeling. I move with meaning, move with meaning. No more waiting, no more waiting, no more chasing, no more chasing. Internal driver, that's what's leading. When the world go quiet, when the noise disappear, when nobody's watching, that's when you find out if you really got it, or if you was just borrowing it. Borrowing it.
If you have been watching people create AI influencers and product videos, but you still have no idea where to begin, let this be your sign to stop watching and create your first one. Here is the simple process. First, decide who your AI influencer is speaking to. Do not just create a pretty character. Give them a niche, personality, visual style, and a reason for people to pay attention. Second, choose a product to promote. It can be an affiliate offer, digital product, software tool, service, or even a fictional product you create for practice. Third, write a short 5-scene script. Start with the hook. Show the problem. Introduce the product. Explain the benefit. Then tell the viewer what to do next. Fourth, create the starting picture for every scene before generating the videos. This lets you approve the character, product, environment, and camera angle instead of generating random clips and hoping they match. Fifth, bring those pictures into Video Express, turn them into short video scenes, add your voiceover, include B-roll, and arrange everything on the timeline. That is how you go from one idea to a complete AI UGC promotion without filming yourself. I broke the entire process down inside my Hustleverse Movie Studio AI UGC blueprint. And I am also including my complete magnetic content creation training as a free bonus. So you can learn how to turn your ideas into content that attracts attention, builds trust, and promotes what you have to offer. Comment Hustle below, and I will send you access to both completely free.
I give you food for action, don't choke on the truth. This lesson I prepare was made just for you. Feast up, I'll keep serving till the pot run dry. Got enough cooking to feed the whole country, no lie. Too many flavors, you know, I got what you like. Don't start beefing with me, you won't win this fight. If you come in peace, keep your teeth intact. I got a plan to get this cake, come grab a stack. Life could be sweet, if you listen, you'll see. Food for action on a platter, served fresh by me. I'm serving knowledge on plates, got the recipe down. A blend of hustle and wisdom, that's my sound. I'm feeding the masses, no crumbs, full course. But if you bring nothing to the table, find the door. Stop acting like you got beef, it won't taste right. This flavor's reserved for those ready.
Okay, family, we are live. We are live. And once again, I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of the Hustlers 10-Minute a Day Challenge. Today is Strong 59, day 2, and we are right at 18 minutes into today's challenge. So let's peel the curtain back. So today, I wanted to just talk to you guys real quick about something. There's a couple of things that's been on my mind. So first and foremost, let's get this out of the way. Today is Tuesday, otherwise known as Training Day Tuesday. So that means that there will be a live training today hosted by one of my business partners, Mr. Wayne Crow. And that training will be held at 2 p.m. EST time. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. So stay till the end of this, this live. I'm not going to keep you guys too long, but I wanted to just, I wanted to follow up with what we were talking about yesterday. Now, I told you guys yesterday that recently I started a series of videos basically titled The 5 Words That Saved Me. And, I'm enjoying this particular concept. It's something that, I'm able to build a series off of. It's something that I've lived through so I can actually speak about. So it's something that I know about, right? And I wanted to be able to share these 5 words with you guys because I know that it's helped me so much throughout the course of my 15 plus year online journey. And I know for a fact that it's going to help you. So if you're looking to build a better business. And even if you're not building an online business, maybe it's offline, or maybe you're not building a business at all. But if you're looking to build a better off overall life, I believe that what we have here in the Hustleverse will help you as an individual. One of the biggest things that, I had to get used to when I got in this industry was the idea and the fact that money does not flow like a river. When I came in, I thought that it was going to be so easy. Building an online income, people told me, hey, you can make this amount in a week. All you have to do is this, that, and the third. It just seemed like such a dream. So many simple steps, so many things. But I learned fast that that was not a reality. That the fact of the matter is that it takes a lot of work. And it's not it's not unlike a, you know, offline business or a real world business. Right now, I'm looking out the window and I see traffic going by and I see people headed to either their jobs, or some of these people are business owners that might be headed to their business where they have to go to a physical location. They have to unlock the doors. They have to get things ready and prepped before they allow customers to come into their store. And this online journey, this online thing that you call, entrepreneurship, home-based business, you know, affiliate marketing, content creation, it's not different from what's going on in the real world, so to speak. Even though you think that this right here, this is just the digital world. This is, some people look at it like it's like a whole other matrix type of situation. Like it's a game where you put on VR glasses and now you're transformed into this VR world where anything can happen. Or even better yet, I think about games like Grand Theft Auto, where you're able to do so many things that you can possibly do in a real life, but you're able to do so many things in this game that it puts you in the mindset that you can actually do these things. And people are willing to do things in these online forums and these online platforms that they would never do in real life. I know if you've played Grand Theft Auto, you know the type of stuff you can do in Grand Theft Auto. And a lot of those things you wouldn't dare try to do or get away with in real life. But the online world gives people a sense of security. It gives people a different feeling, like they're creating their own new persona. And for some people, that could be a good thing. For the majority of other people, it could be a bad thing because we tend to go with the most extreme versions of ourselves when we are online. And, I'm guilty of that too. See, me personally, I'm a natural introvert. Now, I know you've heard a lot of people say that. And, there's a lot of us around. There's a lot of us that's introverted in the real life or the outside the matrix or the online world. But then when we get online, something changes. Our other persona comes out. The thing within us that allows us to be more extroverted comes out. That sense of security, so to speak. Right now, I know that, there might be a set amount of people that's watching and listening and learning from me on a daily basis. But I also know that there's a lot of people that are not watching. And being an introvert, a lot of times we don't want to be seen. We're not trying to be in a big crowd normally. So being online is different. There's a chance that on any given day, more people might find my content. More people might stop and say, man, let me hear what he has to say. One day I might wake up and there's one person watching, and the next day I might wake up and there's 100 or 1,000 or even 10,000 people watching. And that right there in the real world would be something that, you know, wouldn't be for me. You probably never catch me on a stage at a convention in front of thousands of people, you know, giving these type of talks, giving this type of food for action, as I call it. But online, you know, it adds a layer of comfortability that allows me to do what it is that, I'm great at, that I actually know about and that I do on a daily basis, right? But today, real quick, I wanted to talk to you once again about another set of 5 words. So let me go up to my other document, right? And it says here, these 5 words saved me. So what are these 5 words for today that I want to talk to you guys about? So let's delete this right here. These 5 words are this: you're wearing too many hats. Now, me personally, I love wearing hats. As you see on a daily basis, I have this hat on. I've had different versions of this hat, but they all generally say the same thing. They say hustle. It's a mindset and it's a mind state for me. And it constantly reminds me of what it is that I'm doing. It constantly reminds me of, you know, the person that I am offline and online. See, that part of me isn't a persona. I've really, I've really put in this work. I really put in this work. So if you see me on camera and I'm talking to you and I'm talking to you from a place of knowledge and experience, things don't change when the camera or the live ends. I continue to do the work so that I can continue to bring you more value. So hustle, that's something that I've heard all my life. So that's not something that's going to change. So I wear this hustle hat proudly, and I have multiple hustle caps. Some of them, I wear until the wording or the letters fall off. I don't have my old hat around right now, but if you recall, months ago I had one hat and the letters was falling off. I wore it so much that the letters was falling off. But I'm proud of that hat because it represented something. It represented something, and it actually, you know, with it losing the letters on it, it further solidified what it was that it represented. It put in the work. The hat itself put in the work. It was under stress and pressure on a daily basis. Put the hat on, take the hat off, put the hat on, take the hat off, day after day after day. It put in the work and it represented itself, and it helped me represent myself on a daily basis. And it made me think about, a lot of things. There's no difference, once again, from the outside world to the online world when it comes to building a business. One thing that I want you guys to be aware of, and I want you to think about, is that no one man achieves greatness by themselves. There's always a team behind that individual, no matter what someone tells you. Now, I know a lot of people get online and they want to be entrepreneurs. And the word entrepreneur sometimes make people think that they're a solopreneur. That's another term that people throw around. And that puts people in a mindset of having a certain level of confidence. They feel as though, hey, I'm a solopreneur, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm building this by myself, I'm doing this, I'm a one-man army, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't work that way. No matter what you think or what you want to believe, kind of like in that beginning training, right? When it talked about, the gentleman that did the commencement speech, and he kept it real with those graduates. And even though they booed, even though they laughed, booing and laughing doesn't make something not true. He told them the truth. He let them know what AI was here to do and what you should be doing in this time. You should be learning how to use AI. You should be doing what I tell you guys on a regular basis, using it as a leverage system, not letting it replace humans altogether, but allowing it to do some of the heavy lifting, if not most of the heavy lifting. There's things that you won't want to believe because it will destroy your current foundational belief. There's something that I wrote down as I was watching that training. That's something that came to my mind because hearing the story, I understood that these graduates, these young people, they're still, young adults, kids even. They had specific foundational beliefs that they thought were going to be the same throughout this leg of their journey. They thought that the American dream, as was taught to, me, was told to my mom and dad, that same phrase that everybody's probably heard. Go to school, get a good education, get that education so that you can in turn get out and get a good job and that you can go through the rest of the process. That American dream got a little cloudy over the, last few decades. But the new generation, they still had that foundational belief because it was installed in them by their parents. Hey, go to school, get a good education, go to college, get your degree. I'm paying for this college tuition, or you did all this work in school, you got this, scholarship, blah blah blah. But it all led to the same route: getting a good education, with the hopes of getting a good job once when that education was done. And that was the foundational belief that these graduates had. But over the course of the last 2 years, 4 years, a lot of these students, they started out either they were going for associate's degree or bachelor's or even master's degrees in certain niches and fields. And they most of their lives is going to be obsolete. That can destroy a person's, confidence, a person's belief system. It can make a person feel like, you know, what's going on here? The world is not what I expected it to be. But the fact of the matter is that you have to learn and adapt and you have to change with the times. There's been evolution going on for centuries. And the people that were there then, they had to also learn how to grow with the times. And now the times has given us something that, you know, as that speaker mentioned in the article, is not going backwards. You're not going to wake up one day and they're going to say, oh, well, this AI thing, we're not gonna move forward with it. We're gonna go back to the old way of doing things. We're gonna go back to the manual type of labor or manual mental labor of relying on humans to do all this computing, all this uh research and development, all of the things that AI excels at. No, we're gonna stop. We're not gonna, use the AI anymore. We're gonna go back to letting humans do it. That is not going to happen. So you have to be aware and you have to be willing to move forward with the times. So these 5 words saved me. You're wearing too many hats. What does that really mean? So in this online space that we talk about, online marketing, there's a couple of things listed here that, I talked about yesterday. For example, the first thing I talked about was the fact that most people don't even get into this online space with a clear plan, with a clear way of looking at things. They don't start out with their foundational tools, right? They don't start out with the foundational skill set or beliefs that they need to do the basics first before they decide to jump around and I'm going to promote this product, I'm going to promote that product. How you going to promote anything if you don't have the foundation set? That's a recipe for failure. So we talked about how you have to pick a niche. That's usually number one on every list when they say starting an online business. But today, we want to talk about the fact that picking a niche is one hat in itself. So to pick a niche, we talked about yesterday about the different layers, right? The niche, the sub niche. That right there, you know, that can be considered in the real world, in the outside world, that can be considered a form of research and development, right? If we agree, say I agree. So picking a niche could be looked at as a form of research and development. And if you worked in the corporate world or if you worked in any type of business, and you know that they have products and services, then you know that there's usually a research and development department. There's a department with people that, this is what they do all day. They research what's going on in the market. They think about what products they're going to create for this current company. They think about how they can make the product better. They do all the research and development stuff, right? Cool. That's that department. They're wearing that particular hat. That's what they do. And then, I talked about yesterday the idea of, needing to set up your funnel. That's part of the foundational tools or the foundational system that you have to have in place no matter what product or service that you're promoting. You need to have a way to get a person from one place to another. Now, setting up your funnel, that's kind of like in the real world, you have your IT department. So you have your IT people that sit in the back office. Often you don't really see them. You only see them when there's a problem. Somebody need to call IT, IT comes out, is this person that you might have seen once or twice a month whenever you need something fixed. Hey, how you doing, man? I ain't seen you in a while. Blah, blah, blah. Man, I'm glad that you're here. Boom, boom. Help me with this. They help you. However long it takes, may take a few minutes or it might take an hour. Once when that's done, they go back to that back office, never to be seen again for the most part until the next problem comes up. So setting up your funnel, that's like that IT department doing the tech work. That IT person is wearing their hat. That's all they're doing. That's all they're doing. Then I wanted to talk to you guys about, you get online and they tell you, okay, this is what you need to do. You need to be a content creator. You need to create content to promote this particular product and service. Now, you know, that's partly like In the real world, that's your marketing department, right? That's your marketing department. They're, creating the ads. I know you've seen plenty of movies and shows where, corporations, they got a product or service, and then they have that marketing department that they go to. And the people are in there, they're doing presentations, they're showing off stuff to the execs. Hey, let's do this. Let's use this mascot. Let's use this avatar. Let's, have this celebrity play this part or whatever it is. They have their particular hat on. That's their focus. That's their job. They specialize in that, where the execs is just like, hey, well, what does the data say? What does, the research and development department say? If they say, hey, this is what people are looking for, people are looking for fuzzy mascots and everything like that. Cool. Okay. Fuzzy mascots. Send that over to the content creation, the marketing department. Hey, does everything align with these two departments? And they say, yeah. Now we're going to create our avatar, our fuzzy character, our fuzzy representative. That's a whole other department. They wear their hat. And then we have, the follow up. Now, this is where a lot of people get, tied up. This is where things usually fall apart, because you can have a great product, you can have a funnel, you can have content for days, which I see people who are consistent on a daily basis. They post, whether the content is good or not. They still do the work. They still do the content. But then the one aspect that they fail at is the follow up. Some people might comment, some people might send them a message about their content or their product, and they hesitate to respond to those people, or they don't even hesitate to respond. But they're wearing too many hats. And they're wearing so many hats that they're over here. They're thinking about the niche. They're over here. They're tweaking the funnel. They're messing around with it. They're adding stuff. They're looking at other people's funnels and saying, hey, I want to make mine look more like that. Maybe that might help. Then they see somebody else's funnel and they say, man, they got some good elements on their funnel. Let me tweak mine's up. Let me spend another couple of hours changing that up. Then they look at somebody else's content and they say, okay, wow, that right there is pretty cool. Let me change mine's up a little bit so that I can create content that's more like that. And then the follow-up becomes kind of like the afterthought. They don't have time for that. They have all of these messages and comments, and then they don't have a leverage system to help them with the follow-up. Some of these people, they don't use AI, or they don't use tools that's been out even before AI to help them with these particular aspects to follow up. Or they don't have the overall desire to communicate, to learn the necessary skills that goes into the follow-up. How do you build rapport? How do you share value with a person? How do you move them from point A to point B and make them want your product or service? How do you answer their questions before they even ask the questions? Hey, doing stuff in advance so that you don't have to worry about, okay, somebody sending me a message saying, well, what does your product do? Well, maybe you should have answered that in the content creation. Maybe you should have answered that in the funnel. Maybe you should have been a lot more specific with your particular niche. But it can get hard to do all of these things if you're wearing too many hats. If the research and development department decided that they wanted to start moving over into the funnel building department and doing that also, something's going to suffer. We only have 100% of our energy, of our focus. And we can't give 100% to one and then 100% to something else. If you're split between two things, then at best, you can do 50% here or 50% here. If you're split even worse between four, or or there might be even more things that you're split between that we're not even talking about. But if you're split between these four things, then the best you can get is 25% on each one of these pieces. And I know you've taken plenty of tests throughout school, and 50% is failing, right? A 50, no matter where you at in the world, unless the one test that I ever took that, you could get less than 50 and still pass is a military test, a ASVAB. I believe that's what they call it. I think all you needed to get on that, well, back in the day, it might have been like around a 30 or something like that. If you got that, they say, okay, you're good enough. we want you. We Hey, I'm not going to say that they don't want you for your brains, but they do want you for your brains. The higher you score, the better position that they can actually put you in. They say, hey, if you score real high, then maybe you might want to be on the tech side. Now, me personally, I'm going to tell you this. Back when I was in high school, I decided that, I was going to join the military. And I actually took the ASVAB and I scored pretty high. I scored so high that my recruiter, he used to come up to the school like every other day for weeks. He used to come check on me just to make sure, okay, you joining? Um, and when I took the test, the people there, I took two of them. I took the practice one and I got over a 60. Now, in regular school stuff, 60 might be passing. Is right there. 65 might be passing. I might have got like a 66 or something like that on the ASVAB. But they were so surprised. They were so surprised that immediately they wanted me to take, the real one. So I took the actual test, and I believe I got like a 75 on that test. So they were amazed. And me personally, coming from school world, I'm like, okay, a 75 is good, but you know, the hell does that mean? That's not a 95. But they were so surprised. And they were telling me that that was the highest score that they've ever seen in this town. That I got the highest score in the town. And I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe it because my previous belief, what I was, living, my belief system was based on the fact that, 100 was amazing. 95 was amazing. 75, that's a little average. That's regular right there. You just making it. You just a little bit, better than bad. So wanted to test that theory. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what they were saying because they started to try to make me feel as though I was something special. And me back then, I'm still thinking to myself like, yo, these dudes is, they BSing. They telling me this because they want me to really join. People will tell you anything just to get you to, do something, do what they want. So I learned that early. I learned that people will boost you up to make you feel like you're special just for their own purposes. So I invited a couple of friends to come down and take the test themselves. And I was surprised. I was surprised at the results. The results blew my mind. One of my friends scored in like the teens. He might have got like a 16 or a 14 or something on the test. And I said, no, no, nah. And another one of my friends, they might have got like a 20 something or 30 something. And I'm like, wait a minute. How did you do so poorly on this test? And then I started, I'm like, man, maybe they telling the truth. Maybe they was telling the truth. But I couldn't believe it. Especially when I saw my friend got, in the teens and scored. And I'm like, this is wild. But they wanted me to wear a specific hat back then. With my scoring, they said that, I was smart enough to be a tech guy. Not only be a tech guy, but to sit in the back office somewhere, be more like an IT guy doing decrypting and decoding. Now, me personally, I liked computers at the time, but I wasn't a tech geek. I wasn't a tech nerd or nothing like that. I couldn't see myself being in the back office, decoding. So I had to ask, like, what you mean decoding? Like, what would that require? Say, hey, just looking at a bunch of lines of codes and decoding it on a daily basis, blah, blah, blah. And I said, nah, I don't want to do that. My thing was I wanted to be into IT, but I wanted to build things like video games and, stuff like that. That was popular then. So I went into just regular IT. But I say that to say this. That was a specific hat. I knew what hat I could wear, even though they said, hey, you're smart enough to wear this particular hat. But I said, nah, where am I most comfortable at? Where do I actually can see myself being at? What hat can I wear and I can stick with? And you know something, even now, I'm wearing the tech hat. I wear a tech hat, I wear a content creation hat, and I also wear a follow-up hat. I've done the research and development. I've worn that hat. I've learned how to do that. But these 5 words saved me over the course of those years. I learned this stuff, but if I had known these 5 words and focused on how to fix this issue years ago, I would be farther along. I didn't realize until years of being within this online space that I was wearing too many hats. There's people out here that are successful, that are getting the results that you want. From a financial standpoint, they're getting those wins, they're getting those results. And you're not getting those results. And you might be wondering to yourself, why is this not working for me? Let me transition real quick. I'm going to transition to what I told you about. We're going to have a training later on today, 2 p.m. EST time. And it's going to be hosted by one of my business partners, Mr. Wayne Crow. Now, it says right here, 2 p.m. EST time. And here's the title. It says, Why I Shut the Doors on VIP and Who I Let Back In. That's powerful. VIP is a place where you want to be in, any type of setting, any type of organization. VIP, you know what that usually stands for. Very important person. Eh, you know, words matter. People use certain terms and things to play on people's current belief, right? So make sure that you keep that in mind. If your belief system says that VIP stands for very important person, cool. You might say, man, I always wanted to be a VIP. I always wanted to get that red carpet treatment, right? Let's move on. So it says here, a while back, I did something that raised a few eyebrows. I shut the doors on my VIP room and I kept them shut. People asked me why, and I stayed quiet about it. This Tuesday at 7 p.m. UK, that's 2 p.m. EST time, I am going to tell you the real reason, and I am going to show you what the members did while the room stayed small. Now, the room stayed small. While the room stayed small, it says what the members did while the room stayed small. So the members are part of the overall ecosystem. The members in the VIP is part of the overall company, so to speak. The members should be, you know, focusing on various things. A lot of the members, they focus on specific things, and a lot more members, or the majority, not just VIPs, but even deeper, the next level below VIP, the level below that, the majority of people are wearing too many hats. They're all over the place. But the higher up you go, the more you learn and the more you get to see and you realize what you should be focusing on and what you shouldn't be focusing on. So this right here, this training is going to be very valuable. If you want to know why he shut the doors on VIP and who he let back in, that's a powerful statement, because sometimes you have to shut the doors on people, not only to keep certain people out, the wrong people out, but to make sure that the people that's inside are the right people and that they're doing the right thing. You have to make sure that things are running smooth, that things are compartmentalized. And if you're running a business, which this is a business, you have to have certain departments. And you have to make sure that everybody's maintaining their thing. Let's say, what is a VIP? What is a VIP? Well, in the real world, a VIP might simply be a customer service department or a marketing department, right? These people, they have specific tasks. They need to show up where they need to show up. They need to perform the job that they need to perform. And they need to just stick to that. There's other departments, but we're not talking about the other departments. We're talking about the VIPs. Everybody needs to play their role. And VIPs have a specific role that they need to play, and that's the hat that they need to wear. Now, as the business owner, my business partner, Mr. Wayne Crow, he has his own particular specific hat. And once again, if you've listened to any of his trainings, if you've heard him, he will tell you that he wears his specific hat and he's not trying to wear a hat of another department. He tells you clearly, I am not the tech guy. Don't ask me about tech. We have people for that. So he's not wearing that hat. He's going to wear his hat, and that's the hat he's going to stay with. But the big lesson is this. Yes, he looks like one person. He looks like the owner of the company. He looks like the person that is doing all of the heavy lifting, all of the work, right? But he has different departments. He has different departments going. And as you can see right now, what just popped up at the bottom, there's actually a live training that's going on right now. So if you can see right here, it says Tuesday, 10 a.m. EST. So what's going on right now? It's not something that I can invite you to. It's something that is reserved for people that's within this particular opportunity. See, once when you put on the hat, once when you put on the specific hat that starts right here, that says, hey, I'm going to grab my mega link, that means that you're, you know, you're putting on that hat. And you're saying that I want to be involved in this particular opportunity. I want to learn these specific skills. I want to be a part of this particular department. And being a part of that particular department is going to allow you to attend certain trainings, be in certain rooms, be able to make certain decisions, have access to, you know, certain things that people in other departments do not have access to. So I'm gonna close out because of course I want to be in that room. I qualify to be in that room. So I'm going to be where I supposed to be. So with that, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's live. And I'm just going to close out by saying this, just to wrap it up, because I know you might be saying to yourself, if I'm wearing too many hats, what do I actually do? Well, what you do is you learn how to remove some of those hats off of your head. It's kind of like they said the crown, the man with the crown has a heavy head. You know, if you're wearing multiple crowns on your head, you're trying to be the king of everything. Imagine, mm, imagine how your neck might feel. Imagine how much strain on your neck you might have. You need to take off some of these hats. And the way you do that is by being part of a system that allows you to leverage. And this system right here in particular allows you to leverage. The hustler's secret success system inside the hustleverse allows you to leverage. See, you might not be a big content creator, but you might be a tech guy. But you see me here on a daily basis showing up, being a content creator, providing content and value. So you should logically say, hey, I want to partner with him so that he can do the content creation and I can stick to my tech. And we're going to partner together. We're going to work. And now at least, I'm not doing 100% of all the work. He's doing 50% or 25%. I'm doing my 25%. And now you just have to find, how do you get the other 25 and 25% done? Who do you need to partner with that's great at these particular aspects so that they can do their 25% and you can all come together, wearing your individual hats to build one thing. So these are the 5 words that saved me. You're wearing too many hats. And what that told me was that I had to find a way, the best way possible, in order to alleviate some of these hats. So if you're ready, comment hustle. There's some trainings that you need to be part of. There's some that you can get access to, and there's others that you can't. Depends on what type of hat you're trying to put on. But if you're ready to get started, comment hustle, or you can click the link in the description of this video that gives you access to the most valuable document in all of online marketing. And you can click this link right here that says grab your mega link, and you can get access to your foundational skill set, your foundational tools, so that you can start changing your business for the better. And with that, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's training. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And once when you get inside, later on today at 2 p.m. EST time, join us on that live training so that you can get that information. So with that, have a great rest of your day. We're going to close out like we always do. See you in the next video.
Woke up to silence, dreams still heavy. Phone screen dry, but my vision stays steady. Mama said, baby, that job ain't your lane. But I clocked in anyway, chasing someone else's gain. Dad got me dancing with denial at night. Scrolling for hope, but it's hidden from sight. 10 minutes a day, sounded small at first. But in silence, even whispers can quench a thirst. Notebook in hand, wrote my future in ink. Mapped out my mission before I started to sink. Every post was a prayer, every share had weight. I wasn't selling a link, I was shifting fate. I found my rhythm in the quietest place, where hustle meant healing and grind meant grace. From the corner of doubt, I carved my space. Legacy ain't loud, but it wins the race. 10 minutes a day, brick by brick, built from the bottom, now the vision stick. No hype, no cap, just clarity. This ain't just income, it's legacy. Every click, every song I create etches my name where they can't erase. You can doubt, but you gon' see. 10 minutes a day turned into legacy. People laugh, said she doing too much. To my PayPal ping, then they changed up the touch. No big brand, no six-figure crew, just a mic, some lyrics, and a dream that grew. Tired of waiting for the gatekeeper's call, so I built my own stage, held my own hall. Suno on deck, that's the beat in my chest. GPT spin like I'm born to impress. Said I'd never make it, cool, noted. But now my bars turn pain into coded. From broken to branded, I ain't asked for fame, I asked for freedom and I claim my name now. Hustle berry on loop like healing chance, for the girls who grew up with limited chance. This is more than a challenge, it's breaking the chain. Cause 10 minutes a day rewired my brain. 10 minutes a day, brick by brick, built from the bottom, now the vision stick. No hype, no cap, just clarity. This ain't just income, it's legacy. Every click, every song I create etches my name where they can't erase. You can doubt, but you gon' see. 10 minutes a day turned into legacy. Now my daughter sees me different, eyes full of fire. She said, Ma, your words lift me higher. This ain't a hustle, this a heart-led path, where math meets message and message meets math. Community over clicks, value over hype. I ain't here to trend, I'm here to type. Blueprints for the ones still stuck in fear. Let them borrow my belief till their purpose clear. Haters still quiet, but I'm loud with grace. Posting in peace, not a mask on my face. Every bar I drop, every beat I write, I'm free in the